Good evening and welcome to Wrestling Rewind. I am your host, Angel Amoroso, and I am joined by my host, the Iron Man, Tommy Cairo. Tommy?
What's happening, girl?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Great. So tonight on Wrestling Rewind is a edition of Wrestling Archives. So we're taking you back to a special little treat. It's a list of, what is it, Tommy?
Basically what it is a timeline, ultimate history of pro wrestling, a timeline of every major event in pro wrestling history in 1983. So we like this, and it goes well. We can do it year by year, throw them in every once in a while.
Absolutely.
This is showing you like a front page picture, magazine shot of Pro Wrestling Illustrated from 1983 January with Ricky Steamboat on the cover, and just some interesting things at the time. So that's 2022. Okay, so they're just normally they have like some little thing to tell you what was happening during the time, but there's nothing really interesting here. So we're going to start January 1, okay, 1983. All right, so here we go.
Yay.
This is Dothan, Alabama, Southeastern Championship Wrestling, and it was a tournament for the NWA US Junior title. So it says here, Norman, one of those infamous tournaments that nobody saw probably in, what did we say last? It's always in Rio de Janeiro.
Right.
Where they got a lot of wrestling going on. A lot of titles changing hands over there.
Right.
So it says Norman Frederick Charles III, which I think he was one of the Royal Kangaroos with Jonathan Boyd, won the vacant NWA US Junior title in a tournament in Dothan, Alabama for the Southeastern Championship Wrestling promotion. Central State St. Louis. Now, this is going to jump around. This is telling you key things that happened in 83. Right. Central State St. Louis, Missouri. Attendance, 11,029. That's a lot of people. Manny Fernandez and Mark Romero defeated Jerry Brown and Kim Duck. Rick Martel pinned Roger Kirby, another Nature Boy. Bobby Duncombe pinned Mike George. Greg Valentine and Bob Orton Jr. defeated Dick the Bruiser and Bob Brown. Bruiser Brody pinned Crusher Hercules Ayala.
Wow.
That's Hercules Ayala. He was big in Puerto Rico.
Right.
Matter of fact, I think he ran a promotion, IWA, in opposition of Carlos Colon.
Perfect.
Let's see. In San Antonio, Texas, Tully Blanchard defeated Bob Sweetan to win the Southwestern title in a tournament. Now, I remember when that popped up on TV on one of the cable networks, Southwest Championship Wrestling. The first guy I saw was the guy he's a molester, but he really blew my mind, was Bruiser Bob Sweetan. Big old bruiser type of guy, and he could cut a promo, he can work in that area right there, which was an AWA affiliate, seemed more like an NWA affiliate. Just same style,
It's a shame how a lot of them turned out to be child molesters.
Yes.
I like how this list, it doesn't stick to one promotion and jumps around to different events of different promotions in the same year. So I like it for that. So
me too. And we may find stuff that we're like, I didn't know that stuff that you weren't aware of. Okay, so Rip Oliver and the Assassin David Sierra defeated Jack and Stan Stasiak for the Pacific Northwest Tag Team titles in Portland, Oregon. Now, that was on the 1st. On the 2nd, January 2nd, 1983, in Memphis, Tennessee, at the Mid-Southern Coliseum in front of 4,111 fans, that's a sellout. Jerry Roberts, Jacques Rougeau defeated Sabu, Coco Samoa, for the American title. Okay, so they're saying that Jerry Roberts was being played then by Jacques Rougeau, which Jerry Roberts is a whole other different guy somewhere else. And Coco Samoa was another one of those Samoans, but they're calling him Sabu. That's weird. For the Mid-America title. The first, January 1st, 1983, third in West Palm Beach, Florida, Barry Windham defeated NWA Oh, World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair by DQ. I was like, what? I don't remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here comes one of my...
Really young back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here comes one of my favorites. All right. Great Kabuki wins the world-class TV title from Al Madrill in Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh.
I love Kabuki. Similar gimmick, Kendo Nagasaki at the same time.
Yes, the green mist sprayers.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Excellent. Yep. So on the 4th, on the WWF Championship Wrestling TV taping, WWF champion Bob Backlund debuts a new World Championship belt. The short-lived green belt, that was ugly, title belt with round faceplate on Buddy Rogers' corner segment. In Tampa, Florida, Barry Windham defeated NWA World Champion Ric Flair by DQ. Again, El Canek was versus Dos Caras, who was Mil Mascaras' brother.
Wow.
Yeah, and El Psicodelico was another brother.
Actually, we're going to get into that in a future episode of Wrestling Rewind on titled on families in wrestling, where it covers who's brothers and cousins and sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws, and it's just a long family line. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. And you find out people that are related to people that you didn't know, because some of them didn't try to capitalize on it. Some of them thought it might be work against them to use that name and worked under other names.
Right.
Okay. So El Canek versus Dos Caras for the UWA World Title at El Toro de Cuatro Caminos, Naculapan, Mexico, draws 18,000 fans. And boy, they believed in it. And you would get hit with coins. They would throw coins at the ring. It must have been not worth much.
Batteries.
Those people...
Even
batteries. Oh, man.
Yes.
All right. So, the 5th of January, 1983, in Miami Beach, Florida, the Kangaroos, at that time, Don Kent and Johnny Heffernan, later on was El Costello, defeated Ron Bass and Barry Windham to win the Global Tag Team titles. Also, NWA World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair defeated Rufus R. Jones by DQ. Lots of DQs here.
Wow.
The favorite doesn't have to lose, and Flair keeps his title.
Right.
Well, I would be pissed, I think.
It's a good way to keep everyone happy, especially back in the day. People were so satisfied with finishes like that.
Yeah. Especially if you gave him a good battle.
Yes.
All right. So Rip Oliver wins the annual Salem City Oregon Championship tournament, defeating Chris Adams in the finals. That was hot out there, boy. Let me tell you, Oregon. What did I watch the other night? I watched Pacific Northwest and Oregon, the Sandy Bar, the Art Bar family. Look, Scotty Flamingo, Scotty, Raven.
Right.
He's a big star there.
Very big.
Okay. On the 8th in 1983 of January, Don Morocco defeated WWF champion Bob Backlund by count out at Landover, Maryland Capitol Center. The show draws 19,800 fans. You can't say that after Bruno he couldn't draw, because Pedro drew, and then you see it right here. It's 2 back-to-back of 19,000 fans.
Incredible.
That's the total capacity.
Incredible.
Right. And also that same day, the 8th, Carlos Colon and Invader #1, Jose Gonzalez, the murderer, versus Ric Flair and Terry Funk in Bayamon, Puerto Rico. Draws 14,000 fans.
Was that before or after he murdered Bruiser Brody?
This is 1983.
Yeah, I know. And then he continued to wrestle, which is unbelievable. Yeah. But that another time in the history of Invader,
I think,
which we will get into that extensively.
I think Manny tuned him up after that.
Yeah, and we'll talk to Manny about that when we have him on, which will be soon.
If you're going to do that, you better do it while he's here in the United States, not over there.
Right.
You'll never get out of that third world country.
Right.
All right, at the Omni in Atlanta, Butch Reed won a 2-ring battle royal. Stan Hansen and Tommy Rich defeated the Moondogs, Rex and Spot. Rudy Martin won a battle royal. Paul Orndorff defeated Super Destroyer Scott Irwin as Super Destroyer. Wow.
Oh, that's a different.
Remember him and his brother, I guess, they were the Long Riders. Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Irwin. That became the Goon later on in the WWF when they had a big hockey gimmick.
The Goon, right.
I love Scott and Bill. I love the biker gimmick. The biker gimmick was just so over for them. And then at one point they had Eli the Eliminator with them back in UWF, Bill Watts' UWF. They were some good times. I really enjoyed the Irwins a lot.
Very reminiscent of who's the other two brothers? Big. They were in ECW for a little while. Oh man, they remind me of a later version of them.
The Bruise Brothers, maybe perhaps.
Yes, the Bruise Brothers.
Ron and Don Harris. Yes.
Yeah.
They were reminiscent of them. They were some of the originators of hardcore. If you couldn't see hardcore in those guys, you weren't seeing it anywhere. They really took it to it, and then when it was, Bill Watts and UWF was some of the best wrestling, some of the most hardcore matches, all the blood and the close contact, real hits and everything, where it was like what drew me in. That was the first product I actually enjoyed. I enjoyed the men, even the women, when Missy Hyatt and Dark Journey had their feud there, was some of the best. Sunshine and Precious. Real good talkers, and there was no one within the world class area and the UWF area that was flawed at all. They were all like the originators, just flawless in their promos, their matches from A to Z, beginning to end, just beautifully performed.
It really compliments. They were the kind of managers and valets that you didn't mind spending the money on because they complimented the guys that they worked with without taking away from them. Absolutely. And that element where you could be a coward and pull the girl in front of you to block that goes over big. They'll get in your ass, the fans, when they see something like that.
Right. Saying people think that ECW originated it. They didn't. Watch Bill Watts' UWF, and you'll see, and World Class Championship Wrestling, where Precious and Sunshine and Dark Journey and Missy Hyatt were a large part of taking a lot of hits and a lot of beatings back in the day. So, this is history. This is where we come from.
And it was raw in those buildings, man. Gritty, grimy, smoky, dirty. And the people, like you said, they were rabid. The people. I mean, just crazy. So that's what made those
kind of fan back then.
They were really invested.
And down south were the most serious fans of them all. Yeah. So it's not like you couldn't get anything over on those people, but also they believed everything, and they would watch close. But
it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard to believe it. If you took those people and put them in the building thinking they were going to see their normal, and then you threw WWE in there back in the day with their cartoon, they would boo them right out of the freaking building.
Absolutely. I'm much more prone to watch that than any kind of WWF character back in the day. Yeah. I don't want to see parrots on people's shoulders. No insult to Coco Beware or any the guys who carried their animals, but UWF was just a better product for a different type of fan.
Yes.
And so it's different types of fans for different types of products. So what we liked.
All right. So we're at Tito Santana defeated the Iron Sheik by countout. Candy Malloy, you remember her? I don't remember that name.
No.
She defeated Judy Martin. She must be somebody, And then Joe Lightfoot defeated Chick Donovan, who was another clone of Ric Flair. The blonde hair, he had a good little physique. He was always tan.
Right.
Chick Donovan, I liked him. So in Toronto, Canada, with an attendance of 18,237. King Parsons defeated Jerry Bryant. Private Jim Nelson, a.k.a. Boris Zukov, defeated Nick DiCarlo. So he went from being a private, and then he became Boris Zukov.
Wow.
And Nick DiCarlo was another little stocky, tame journeyman. Rudy and Terry Kay defeated Ken Timms, also known as El Fabuloso Blondie, and Frank Monty, another guy I like, Frank Monty. Short, tight little built, really good. Salvatore Bellomo. Oh, I missed Sal. I miss Sal so much. He's the one that gave us the infamous black heroin.
Yeah, right?
Tobacco.
Yeah, if we can't explain that story in full, we should never bring it up.
Tommy. I got the glacier freeze. Tommy. All right, so Ray Stevens defeated Jimmy Snuka by countout. Angelo Mosca defeated Leroy Brown in a steel cage match to retain the Canadian title. Leo Burke defeated Johnny Weaver in a steel cage match to retain the North American title. So even though they're in Canada, they're mostly dominated by American talent. In Jackson, Tennessee, Rick McGraw, remember him? Breaks his ankle. Stocky little WWE guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I love that. He was really good, that guy. Small, very short. He was teaming with the Dream Machine, Troy Graham, at the time, and were the WWA World Tag Team Champions. The titles are vacated. Now, you remember yesterday I was talking about these places in other countries where there were NWA affiliates, and that was what I was trying to remember was the Dominican Republic, and the little public hero there was Jack Veneno, and Ric Flair would go there and practically put him over, and they'd do a 60-minute Broadway and get that guy over. Like our little guy from our country went to a 60-minute time limit draw with the world champion Ric Flair. So in a rematch on December 19th, 1982, match at sold-out Palacio de Deportes in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, Jack Veneno, who is Rafael Sanchez, billed as the defending NWA World Heavyweight Champion, defeated Rick, recognized everywhere else as NWA Champion via DQ when Piper interfered. Sometime after this match, it was announced in the Dominican Republic that Jack Veneno was stripped of the championship for not wanting to leave the country and defend it. The story was the Dominican Republic was going through troubled times and a lot of corruption, and Veneno said he didn't think it was right to leave the country and his fans during those tough times. Wow, that's like genius, because
I bet that this is in our upcoming episode of the history of the NWA title.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and I can't wait to get to it because I didn't know this.
Yeah,
did you?
No, and so these fans, these people, whether he ever comes back again, Flair, or if this guy Veneno even gets another chance, it doesn't matter. He was champion and beat Ric Flair in their eyes, and that will last him the rest of his career.
Oh yeah, he's in the books. That's in the history books. We're reading it right now as history. So yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right. So on the 10th of January 1983, Robert Gibson defeated Norman Frederick Charles III to win the NWA U.S. Junior title for Southeastern Wrestling. So on the same day in Memphis at the Mid-South Coliseum in front of a crowd of 8,208, Nick Bockwinkel defeated Jerry Lawler to regain the disputed AWA World Heavyweight title. AWA never actually recognized the 1982 title change. Here we go again. And Memphis Television danced around the situation, insinuating that Jerry Lawler was the champion. Yet, at the same time, having him surrender the title on television to Eddie Marlin to hold until the rematch or Bockwinkel refused to wrestle. During this match and leading to the finish, the injured Jimmy Hart appeared at ringside beside a man wrapped up in medical gauze, whom it was assumed was Hart. Instead, it turned out to be Andy Kaufman, which distracted Lawler, allowing Bockwinkel to grab a pin and regain the title. They got a lot of mileage out of that Andy Kaufman thing. They really did.
You know, today actually is, I think, it's a 40th anniversary of the beginning of that feud with Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman.
Really?
Our good friend Carmine DeSpirito was actually there at the start of it when they were on the talk show, taking the pictures. He posted it on Facebook today.
They really put that over where a lot of people who know the business weren't convinced that it was, fake. A lot of people, even in the business, thought that there was some real heat. And it really wasn't ever cleared up or mentioned until not that long ago. And up until then, they always acted as if even Waller's comments like it really was real, you know. So they did a good job. You got to give it to Andy Kaufman. Did you ever see the movie about that?
Yes, actually I did. Andy Kaufman was quite the character. I mean,
yeah, what was it called?
Man on the Moon, I believe.
Yeah,
something like that Jim Carrey did his part.
He introduced the intergender.
Right. Because this is a guy who was obsessed with the type of stuff I grew up doing. Apartment wrestling. He would pay girls to wrestle him on floors and beds and stuff in apartments. So he got obsessed with wrestling women and decided to take it professional, even though he was a celebrity. So he was
a natural
kind of people.
Yeah, he was a natural, right?
Everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I mean, even when he used to do that gimmick where he was that guy Tony, it was his alter ego.
Unbelievable. Just
hysterical.
Beautiful stuff.
He's gone, right? He died.
Yes.
What a shame.
Yeah.
These talented people, I don't know if they can live with, like, their brain can't handle it, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so Kaufman distracted Lawler, allowing Buckman to grab the pin and regain the title. All right, so in West Palm Beach, Florida, the Auditorium, NWA World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair defeated Barry Windham. Now, I was just thinking about this guy as a possible candidate for a T-shirt design. The Destroyer, Dick Bayer. The Intelligent Sensational Destroyer is how he used to come out. And his mask was made from a girdle of his wife's. It was some kind of, because they didn't have like this materials back then. So it was a stretchy Lycra, and they put a strip on it, and that's what he used to make the mask.
Not a bad idea.
You remember when you could go in the back of the magazines and order one of those masks or a Dr. X mask?
Yes.
I was going to, for so long, I'm going to get one of those.
Of course. And I think everyone had a little trinket out of the back of the magazines at one point, whether it be like, what you're talking about. They sold stuff like, grow your muscles and do this.
Yeah. I wanted the X-ray glasses so I could look through clothes.
They didn't work.
Of course not. Crazy.
Of course, I had certain things, so I know what works and what doesn't.
All right, so the Destroyer Dick Bayer defeated Billy Robinson for the International Championship in Quebec, Canada. Also, Tony Parisi and Gino Brito, who's Dino Bravo, is that? No. Dino Bravo. He had a different name he used too. They defeated Pat Patterson and Pierre Lefebvre in the international tag team titles. That's a big match. The sensational, intelligent Destroyer against Billy Robinson. That must have been good. All right. On the 11th of January, 1983, a mask versus money match takes place at the Fort Hesterly Armory in Tampa, Florida. The Midnight Rider, Dusty Rhodes, and Barry Windham defeat NWA World Champion Ric Flair and Kevin Sullivan when the Midnight Rider pins Ric Flair. On the same show, Terry Allen, Magnum TA, and Scott McGee defeated the Kangaroos, Don Kent and Johnny Heffernan, to win the Global Tag Team titles. That must have been, that's an NWA, I guess, in Tampa. So here we go. The first, January 13th, 1983, Hulk Hogan versus Tempeh at the Salt Palace, Salt Lake City, Utah. Draws 10,000 fans. Bobby Heenan battled Buck Zumhoff, to a draw. Wahoo McDaniel defeated Jacques Rene Goulet. Jesse Ventura defeated Baron Von Raschke. And Crusher Blackwell and Sheik Adnan LKC defeated Rick Martel and Steve Oslonsky. Hulk Hogan defeated Ken Patera via DQ. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Sounds all good, actually.
Yeah. I got an ad here, old style poster from the Salt Palace. And now we're going to go over to Pittsburgh on the 14th of January 1983 to the Civic Arena. Attendance, 14,000. Tony Gurria pinned Baron Miguel Cicluna. Mr. Fuji pinned S.D. Jones. Don Morocco defeated WWF champion Bob Backlund via countout. Ray Stevens and Buddy Rose defeated Jimmy Snuka and Rocky Johnson via DQ. Salvatore Bellomo pinned Charlie Fulton. Superstar Billy Graham fought WWF Intercontinental Champion Pedro Morales to a double countout. WWF Tag Team Champions Jay and Jules Strongbow defeated the Wild Samoans Appa and Sika via DQ. I used to love when the Chief would do this, and McMahon would say, "The Chief putting the bad mouth on Baron Cicluna." He was awesome. He was awesome. Now,
just fantastic.
In the town next to me, Newark, New Jersey, there was a company called the Brookdale Bottling Company Soda, and in their office, Strombow's brother worked there.
Oh.
He was a dispatcher, and he looked exactly like him. Had hair, long hair, but he was short. They called him Little Chief. That was his nickname. And, of course, he had all the pictures up and everything, you know. So I used to get a kick out of going there.
I bet.
That's Joe Scarpa, and there's a story that he was very strong when he was young and was often lifting vehicles by the bumpers.
Oh.
So he looked at him, he didn't look like that, but he was strong.
You don't want to mess with him then.
No. In Fort Pierce, Florida, Midnight Rider Dusty Rhodes defeated NWA World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair, but did not win the title. A lot of that going on. All right, now go to Texas. At the Sam Houston Coliseum, Houston, Texas draws 10,000 fans. Everybody's drawn. Tim Horner defeated Buddy Landell. Tiger Conway Jr. defeated Kelly Kiniski. Here's 2 second generations right there. Steve Williams defeated Marty Lund, a.k.a. Arn Anderson. Dick Murdoch and Tom Pritchard defeated the Grapplers, Len Denton and Tony Anthony. Chavo Guerrero defeated Gino Hernandez, Tony Atlas, and Mr. Wrestling 2, who was Johnny Walker, and Stagger Lee, who was Junkyard Dog, defeated Matt Bourne and Ted DiBiase, and Jim Duggan. Kamala won a 2-ring battle royal. I saw a video of Kamala slamming Andre. It has to be the best slam of anybody that did actually slam. Even Hulk Hogan only kind of like just tipped him over. You can look at this. You probably find it on YouTube. Look it up. He got him up like it was nothing and up.
I'm going to look this up because I missed that. I did not see that.
I was blown away. I was like, wow, look at that.
Now that's something to take a look at.
All right, so we're going to AWA in Denver, Colorado. Boy, they were stretched out pretty good. They had a big territory. Bobby Heenan battled Buck Zumhoff to a draw. Wahoo McDaniel beat Sergeant Rene Goulet. Rick Martel beat Ken Pantera. Hulk Hogan beat Jesse Ventura by DQ. And Greg Gagne and Jim Brunzell beat Jerry Blackwell and Sheik Ednan LKC in a steel cage match. We're going now to Southeastern Wrestling. And on the 15th of January, 83, Norman Frederick Charles III fought Robert Gibson to a disputed finish in the NWA U.S. Junior title. It's held up now for Southeastern Wrestling. Southeastern, the Papos ICW was a split from Southeastern, and they were all back and forth using the same guys, a similar venue, a similar look, everything. And then who was it that Les Thatcher started doing the commentary for Southeastern, which was an NWA affiliate. It was a good show, really good show. All right, so we're going to go to WWF in Boston, Mass. At the Garden. Attendance, 14,780. Tony Altamori defeated Fred Marzino. Eddie Gilbert defeated Pete Doherty, the Duke of Dorchester. Salvatore Bellomo defeated Sweet Hansen. And Don Morocco defeated WWF champion Bob Backlund via countout. WWF Tag Team Champions Chief and Jules Strongbow fought the Wild Samoans, Appa and Sika to a draw. Superstar Billy Graham defeated WWF Intercontinental Champion Pedro Morales via DQ. Jimmy Snuka and Rocky Johnson defeated Buddy Rose and Ray Stevens. Now we go over to Tampa, Florida. NWA World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair defeated Barry Windham. Now we're over to San Antonio. the grapplers, Len Denton and Tony Anthony, defeated Ricky Morton and Ken Lucas to win the Southwest Tag Team titles. Now, Ricky Morton, before he teamed with Robert Gibson, was with Ken Lucas, and they were really hot. And people loved those two guys. Ken Lucas was a good talent. Now we go to AWA in Chicago, Illinois. Buck Zumhofe beat Tom Lynch. Jerry Lawler beat Tom Stone. Wahoo McDaniel beat Sergeant Rene Goulet. Ken Patera and Bobby Duncombe beat Rick Martel and Steve O. Would be Steve Oslonsky. Hulk Hogan beat Jesse Ventura by DQ. And Jerry Blackwell and Sheik Adnan of KC beat Jim Brunzell and Mad Dog Vachon. Well, that's a weird combo, right? Jim Brunzell and Mad Dog Vachon.
They seem to be putting Hogan over on Jesse Ventura quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess he wasn't getting the big push yet, you know?
Right.
And, I mean, who copied who? Because Ventura was a ripoff, you know, of Hogan. I didn't see no chokehold, gorilla. I love doing Jesse the Bar.
And what, all a ripoff of Superstar Billy Graham?
Yeah, and then there was also Steve Strong, who was actually that big monster guy from Canada. Can't remember his name. But the story about him is, what the hell was his name? Oh, he was a bull, this guy. Can't remember. But there was a story about him going in some foreign country to do a wrestling interview while they were traveling. Steve Strong, so I don't remember what his other name was. But they were at the studio, and a guy asked him a question, and he grabbed him and threw him down and stomped him with his size 20, whatever. They said, "Welcome to professional wrestling."
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, he was a big, huge guy.
Welcoming. Sounds lovely.
And, you know, during this time, looking, like besides Madison Square Garden, any building that was even close to it was doing capacity 14,000. And when you see Memphis Mid-South Coliseum drawing 5,690, it's because that's all it held.
Right. Well, back then, I mean, people, whenever there was a show, people were going, you know, especially down south. You're reading stuff from down south, and those people packed the building because
weekly.
The tickets were cheap, and it was like, you know, it was their live entertainment. Like the crowds were. I don't think the crowds ever died down south. No,
and 5,600 people. 5,600 people in a building that seats that. It's not intimate, but it's not like there's 20,000 people. Right. So it's a personal, a closer atmosphere.
Right.
All right. So actually, so this was, they drew 5,690 at the Mid-South Coliseum. Bobby Fulton beat Carl Fergie. Dutch Mantel pinned the Angel. Jesse Barr beat Ken Raper. And Carl Fergie. Ken Raper.
I was talking about him the other day in a show, but a very
different name.
Of names, yes.
How about Ken Rapper? That would have been better.
Right, but it was Raper. That was a bad joke on this gentleman.
Really? Carl Fergie and the Angel and Jesse Barr beat Dutch Mantel and Bobby Fulton and Ken Raper. Stan Lane beat Jonathan Boyd via DQ. Bill Dundee and Terry Taylor beat Adrian Street and Apocalypse, who was Mike Boyer. Fabulous One, Steve Kern and Stan Lane beat the Sheep Herders, Jonathan Boyd and Luke Williams, via forfeit to win the Southern Tag Team title. Bobby Eaton and Coco Samoa Sabu beat Jerry Lawler and Sweet Brown Sugar, Coco Ware, via DQ. Now, same card. Robert Gibson defeated Norman Frederick Charles III to win the held-up NWA U.S. Junior title for Southeastern Championship Wrestling. So now we have, on the 18th, the Kangaroos, Don Kent, doesn't say where, Don Kent and Johnny Heffernan defeated Terry Allen, Magnum TA, and Scott McGee to win the Global Tag Team titles. I used to love Les Thornton. Remember him? Little stocky guy. Him and Scott McGee had a hell of a match. That's how you find out on YouTube. For some junior title. Very good match. Very technical, stiff, nice. So here we go. This is Onondaga County, New York. So in an incident that would have been even more chilling ramifications later this year, Jimmy Snuka is arrested by Onondaga County, New York Sheriff's deputies following a domestic violence incident with Nancy Argentina. Argentina would be killed under suspicious circumstances later this same year, and shortly before Snuka's death, he would be indicted for the murder. So that was not, I was in locker rooms with him plenty of times.
We all shared a locker room with him, and it was, he treated us the way he did, and I really don't even want to talk about it.
No, but he's another case like Benoit, and even Chuck Williams, where everybody that knew them would swear that they were not capable of it, which means to me that they all had brain damage. They had CTE early. They said that there was brain tissue in Benoit's head that was like dead, rotted. So, there's something to that. We know with the concussions and all of that, you would just lose your mind. Oh, this was good. I won't read it, but it takes 9 policemen to arrest Superfly. I don't know if that was that. Yeah, it says the same town. So, yeah. I didn't know that happened while I was getting it said 9 men and 2 dogs needed to ground Superfly.
Wow.
On that the gimmick, So over and then he would say to me later, "You got all the gimmicks, bro."
Yeah.
All right, so we go to New York City, Madison Square Garden, attendance 15,000. That sounds down a little bit. Johnny Rodz defeated Pete Sanchez. S.D. Jones defeated Baron Miguel Sacuna. And superstar Billy Graham defeated Swede Hansen. Don Morocco defeated WWF Intercontinental Champion, I remember this, Pedro Morales to win the title. The Wild Samoans, Appa and Sika, managed by Captain Lou Albano, defeated Tony Gurria and Eddie Gilbert. There's a little tag there, Tony Gurria and Eddie Gilbert.
All right.
So they sent Gilbert up to New York to work preliminaries to get experience.
Eddie Gilbert was working from when he was a teenager, so yeah, he ended up there, sure.
He was writing angles at like 14 years old.
Exactly. So really, what was his life supposed to be?
Exactly.
The best of it.
Yeah. Ray Stevens defeated Jules Strongbow, and the WWF champion Bob Backlund defeated Big John Studd. Jimmy Snuka, managed by Buddy Rogers, defeated Buddy Rose, managed by Lou Albano, and Salvatore Bellomo defeated Charlie Fulton. Rocky Johnson defeated Mr. Fuji. What was I looking at here? I wanted to say something about Jimmy Snuka managed. Where was that? I lost it. I wanted to comment on Jimmy Snuka and Buddy Rose. Oh, Big John Studd. He was in a mask as the Executioners, and the other guy was Killer Kowalski.
Oh, right.
That's how he started out under the mask.
Testing him out. Good test run.
Yeah. All right. Mid-Atlantic. Dory Funk Jr. defeated Jack Briscoe for the NWA Mid-Atlantic title in Charlotte, North Carolina for Jim Crockett Promotions. So that's a big match between 2 highly regarded guys that were good amateurs. So that's a real deal right there.
Absolutely.
At the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia, in a non-title $5,000 challenge match, Butch Reed defeated the NWA World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair.
Wow.
Was it Butch? I thought it was what's his name? Ron Simmons held the title. I thought he was the only black guy. Does it say?
We're going to get to this in the history of the NWA title.
Yeah.
And
says he defeated
that show. Please stay tuned to that show because it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone who's ever held the title, even if for 1 day, 1 minute, or 1 hour. So stay tuned on a Wrestling Rewind, the history of the NWA title.
Yeah. Well, the reason we didn't hear about it because it wasn't a title match, because it says it was a $5,000 challenge match.
Challenge match, right.
No title on the line.
Yes.
Right. Ole Anderson and Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer defeated Tommy Rich and Stan Hansen. Paul Orndorff defeated Ivan Koloff. Bruiser Brody defeated Tino Santana. And Ray Candy battled Super Destroyer Scott Irwin. The Moondogs, Rex and Spot, defeated Joe Lightfoot and Tom Pritchard. Paul Ellering, still wrestling, defeated Tommy Rich. Did you see the body that he had when he was wrestling?
Yes, actually,
Bill.
Unfortunately, up close and personal. So, moving on.
Yes. Who's it for? Ray Casey. All right. Brad Armstrong defeated Chick Donovan. In Toronto, Canada, at the Maple Leaf Gardens with an attendance of 11,000. Billy Redlines defeated Jerry Bryant. Johnny Weaver defeated Tim Gerard. The Destroyer, Dick Bayer, and Bobby Bass defeated Rudy and Terry Kett. Leo Burke battled Tony Parisi to a draw. Big John Studd defeated Tony Garea. Jimmy Snuka defeated Ray Stevens with Salvatore Bellomo as a special referee. Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood defeated Sergeant Slaughter and Don Cornudo. All right. On the 24th, 83, January, we go to Memphis, Tennessee, to the Mid-South Coliseum, drawing 5,589. The Angel beat Bobby Fulton. Jesse Barr drew King Cobra. Dutch Mantel pinned Carl Fergie. Southern Tag Team Champions, the Fabulous Ones, Steve Kern and Stan Lane, beat Jonathan Boyd and the Angel. Bill Dundee and Terry Taylor beat Adrian Street and Apocalypse, who's Mike Boyer, in a no DQ match. Bobby Eaton and Sabu, who was Coco Samoa, beat Sweet Brown Sugar and Coco Beware and Jerry Lawler in a no DQ match. WWF, we're going to the Agricultural Hall in Allentown, PA. Ivan Koloff returns to the WWF, defeating Barry Hart, who was Barry Horowitz, in Allentown, PA at the Agricultural Hall, and later Jeff Craney, Frankie Williams, and Miguel Feliciano on the same show. Do you remember who Frankie Williams was?
Yes.
In Piper's Pit, he got smashed in the head with before Snuka, and I guess he was answering the question in his broken English, which he was only there to be humiliated. And he said, asked him a question. Piper asked him a question, and he said something like, Piper mimicked him. Oh, I don't know. And then I think he smacked him and knocked him off the chair. So Frankie Williams, that's what he's famous for, if anything. But he was another jobber, journeyman guy for years there. And so was Miguel Feliciano. Bob Backlund performed the Harvard step test for an entire hour during the show. In a dark match following the TV tapings, WWF champion Bob Backlund defeated Buddy Rose, who was a substitute for superstar Billy Graham. One of my experiences was in the locker room. There wasn't a lot of room. I had only one bench to sit on, and there was Backlund doing his Harvard step test, reading a book up and down on the stairs. What a trip, man.
Yeah, quite the character.
Really. All right. We got the Fabulous Kangaroos, Don Kent and Johnny Heffernan, defeated Scott McGee and Terry Allen in Tampa, Florida to regain the global tag team titles. All right. Now we're going to Baltimore, Maryland on the 29th of January. At the Civic Center, attendance 12,200. Pete Sanchez defeated Baron Miguel Cicluna. Eddie Gilbert gets a win over Charlie Fulton. Salvatore Bellomo defeated Johnny Ross. Big John Studd defeated N.C. Jones. And Sweet Hansen defeated Kurt Hennig. WWF Tag Team Champions Chief J and Jules Strombo fought the Wild Samoans off and Sika to a double DQ. Rocky Johnson defeated superstar Billy Graham via DQ. Snuka defeated Ray Stevens via countout. Andre the Giant and Pedro Morales defeated WWF Intercontinental Champion Don Morocco and Mr. Fuji. WWF Champion Bob Backlund defeated Buddy Rose. All right, we're going back to the Mid-South Coliseum on the 30th, and it is drawing 5,900. King Cobra beat Masked Marauder 1. The Angel beat Philip Rougeau. Apocalypse Mike Boyer beat Bobby Fulton. Big Red beat Marauder 2. Dutch Mantel drew Jesse Barr. Dutch Mantel and he worked a lot. And Bobby Fulton and King Cobra and Big Red beat the Marauders and Angel and Jesse Barr. Obviously, they were short on talent, and everybody had to work 3 times.
Right. It seems like.
Jerry Roberts, Jacques Rougeau, pinned Terry Taylor to win the Southern title. The Sheep Herders, Boyd and Williams, beat the Fabulous Ones, Kern and Lane, to win the Southern Tag Team titles in a loser leaves town versus title match. Time to go to a new territory. Adrian Street beat Bill Dundee via DQ in a loser receives 10 lashes match. Jerry Lawler and Terry Funk and Sweet Brown Sugar. Coco Ware, he must have been working under different masks, because there was a Brown Sugar and it wasn't Coco Beware.
Yeah, right.
Beat Bobby Eaton and Sabu. Coco Samoa and Carl Fergie in a Texas tornado death match. So, what is this now? 2-5. Oh, this goes into February now of the same year. And we're going to go back to the Boston Garden. This is on the 2nd, February 5th, 83. Boston Garden attendance 14,810. Mr. Fuji defeated Pete Sanchez. Salvatore Bellomo defeated Charlie Fulton. Johnny Roz defeated Barry Miguel Cicluna. Sweet Hansen defeated Mac Rivera. And WWF champion Bob Backlund fought WWF Intercontinental champion Don Morocco to a double DQ. WWF Tag Team Champions Chief Jay and Jules Strongbow defeated the Samoans. Well, they had a long run. Big John Studd defeated Tony Garea. Jimmy Snuka defeated Ray Stevens, and Rocky Johnson defeated superstar Billy Graham via DQ. On the 6th, we go to Memphis at the Cook Convention Center in front of 3,206 fans. Fabulous One, Steve Kern and Stan Lane, defeated the Sheep Herders Boyd and Williams to win the Southern Tag Team titles. Over at the Omni in Atlanta, Iron Sheik defeated Dick Murdoch in an Iranian club challenge. But Butch Reed battled Ivan Koloff to a draw. Bunkhouse match, Stan Hansen defeated Ole Anderson, and Dick Murdoch defeated Super Destroyer Scott Irwin. Paul Orndorff defeated Iron Sheik. Ray Candy defeated Bruiser Brody by DQ. Bob Roop defeated Brad Armstrong, and Buzz Sawyer defeated Tommy Rich. The Moondogs, Rex and Spot, defeated Tito Santana and Joe Lightfoot. Paul Ellering defeated Tom Pritchard. Now, Rex and Spot. One of them was Sailor White, because I remember seeing he had a big tattoo here on his chest, and later on they renamed him, changed his gimmick, but his name was Sailor White. Then we go to AWA in Denver, Colorado. Hawk Zoomhawk beat Tom Lynch. Jerry Blackwell and Sheik Adnan KC beat Baron Von Raschke and Mad Dog Vachon.
Fuck Zoom off, the scumbag that he is. He got so much work, you know?
Yeah.
He really had something good going for himself, and he had to he had to do what he did. We'll get into in other shows, but what a scumbag. What an absolute scumbag. I'm sorry.
No, believe me. I wanted to go to a show and steal his boombox and crack it over his head. That's what
sure would do more than that.
Yeah. What was I going to say here about Paul Ellering? Yeah, he's still working, Paul Ellering.
Yeah.
So, back there in Denver, Jerry Blackwell and Sheik KC. Baron Von Raschke. That's what I wanted to say. I loved what he used to do. He was an NCAA champion in wrestling. Yeah, and he would say at the end, and that is all that people need to know.
And you know what it is. And then this guy worked up until what? I mean,
yeah.
More recently, I don't know if he passed or not, but like he really worked until he just could not move anymore, I think.
Yeah, he was a hell of a talent.
And he didn't do too much.
Yeah. All right, this is going to be good. We're going over to New Japan in Tokyo at Sumo Hall. I worked in that building.
So did I.
Yeah, did you? Awesome.
Yes, I did. I won.
Any of the major ones, I was happy. I got the Korakon, the smaller. I got the Sumo Hall. I did Jinku Baseball Stadium, and I did Korakon. So I was happy that the bigger buildings I was in. It was awesome, really. So I'm sure you enjoyed it too.
Yes, I did. Great stuff.
I didn't like Japan so much. I just liked the fact that I had the ability to go there.
Go, right.
All right, so New Japan Pro Wrestling in Tokyo, Japan at the Sumo Hall, shown the 11th 1983 on TV. Yoshiaki Fujiwara beat Yoke Plaza. Kuniaki Kobayashi and Grand Hamada beat Kantaro, Otino, and Masanobu Kiryu. I don't see only a couple Americans. Osamu Kido beat Carlos Jose Estrada. Mike George beat Ryuma Go, and Masa Saito, one of my favorites, beat Kengo Kimura. Hulk Hogan beat Blackjack Mulligan. WWF Junior Heavyweight Champion Tiger Mask, Satoru Sayama, beat Black Tiger. Black Tiger was Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, there you go. There's your Americans.
Yeah. Seiji Sakaguchi and Tatsumi Fujinami, another one of my favorites, battled Riki Choshu and Killer Khan to a double countout. Rusher Kimura and Animal Hamaguchi and Isamu Tanahashi beat Antonio Inoki in a handicap match. Only 5 of them. And we shoot back to the States in Louisville, Kentucky. The Sheepherders, Boyd and Williams, regained the Southern Tag Team titles from the Fabulous Ones, Steve Kern and Stan Lane. So they have some other little excerpts from different, newspapers and stuff during the time. And now we're going to February 2nd, February 8th, 83, Buffalo, New York. Attendance 9,200 WWF. Salvatore Bellomo defeated Charlie Fulton. 2 in a row. Sweet Hansen defeated Kurt Hennig. Mr. Fuji fought Chief J Strongbow to a draw. Wild Samoans Appa and Sika defeated Tony Gurria and Eddie Gilbert. Big John Studd defeated Jules Strongbow. Rocky Johnson defeated Buddy Rhodes. Pedro Morales defeated superstar Billy Graham via countout. And Jimmy Snuka defeated Ray Stevens. WWF champion Bob Backlund fought WWF Intercontinental champion Don Morocco to a no contest. Ric Flair versus Victor Jovica for the NWA World Heavyweight title. This is another one of those in Trinidad. 24,000 fans. Again, at a near riot, and Flair again appears to put a wrestler over for the NWA title in order to escape a Caribbean nation alive. In other words,
you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Serious about their wrestling in Trinidad.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's scary, man. You're really putting your life in your hands.
Title that was not, very well known. So, and to avoid rioting and possibly getting murdered.
Put that motherfucker over 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, she says, do it and go home.
Yeah. Just like when you first started, you wanted to stay in the Battle Royal. Then you're like, a few years later, you're like, throw me out right away.
First, please.
I'll throw myself out.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah, that's scary. So that was in Trinidad. 24,000 fans. Man, that's a lot of people. Probably outside,
Right.
So here we go now to Miami, Florida, in front of a crowd of 6,196. Dusty Rhodes, in a mask as the Midnight Rider, defeated Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight title, but has to give up the title when he refused to unmask. Results, another way to stay strong. Andre the Giant and Barry Windham defeated Kevin Sullivan and Jake Roberts. Mike Graham defeated Don Kent. Roddy Piper defeated Mr. New York and unmasked him as Chick Donovan, the Golden Boy Chick Donovan. Rufus R. Jones and Ron Bass defeated Angelo Mosca and Leroy Brown by DQ. And Charlie Cook defeated Cyclone Negro. A really good. Yeah, your last name is Negro. Said Negro. He was a hell of a worker.
I don't get about back then. It's like you were wearing a mask and you won the title. So now you got to take the mask off for some reason. We're not going to say what reason, but you got to take the mask off to show everybody that you're really Dusty Rhodes. So now the win somehow doesn't count. It just never made sense to me.
Yeah.
Angling never made sense to me. Like, you take a mask off, so that means you didn't win the match?
Yeah. What does that have to do with anything?
You still won the match?
Yeah, like you couldn't tell. You didn't know it was Dusty Rhodes either.
Yeah, because there was so many guys with like 400 pounds with that big tumor on their stomach, So like,
the big brown blotch.
Right. So many things he had.
I used to get.
Rhodes was up there. He was pretty fat.
Yeah, there's so many things that you just ignored, and they would just move along. It's pro wrestling. You can get away with that.
Right.
So, back in Miami, Florida, we did that. Leroy Brown. So we want Roddy Piper. I just said that. I'm sorry, Charlie Cook. All right, so we're moving on to Oh, yeah, it was Scott McGee and Terry Allen defeated the Kangaroos, Don Kent and Johnny Hepburn. Here's the picture of Dusty with that stupid mask on.
Now, are we on February? We're on February or March?
We're still on February, the 11th. A huge card is held in St. Louis, Missouri at the Checker Dome in front of 16,695 fans. It is shown on Japanese television and featured a PWF title change and a famous Flair versus Brody match. Results: Roger Kirby defeated Manny Fernandez. Bill Cody and Buzz Tyler and Rick Martel defeated Crusher Ayala, Dewey Robertson, and Kim Duck. Ken Patera defeated Ox Baker. Butch Reed defeated Bobby Duncombe. Bob Orton Jr. and Dick Murdoch defeated Bob Brown and Dick the Bruiser. Curry Von Erich defeated Greg Valentine to retain the Missouri heavyweight title. And NWA World Champion Ric Flair went to a time-limit draw with Bruiser Brody in a best 2 out of 3 falls match. Giant Baba defeated Harley Race to win the PWF heavyweight title. So I was just thinking real quick about things that never made sense. On Florida Championship Wrestling, they would be doing the commentary, and every once in a while, who was ever doing it with Gordon Soley would say, well, he's ahead on points right now.
Yeah, like it's a basketball game?
What are you talking about? Like, you could have said, if it were amateur wrestling,
he's ahead of the game or something.
Yeah, he would have been ahead on points. But what, you're secretly scoring it on points in case there's a draw, and you're going to, I never heard you do that. So what do you mean you're scoring ahead on points?
I recall later on they tried that point scoring thing. I think it was with an AWA.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
And I think it's American Wrestling Federation.
Yes, something like that they had on ESPN. It didn't work out very well then.
They had rounds, too.
I don't think it would ever work out. But you know what? These are some interesting facts about 1983. The highlights of 1983. So I think we should get into part 2 of this next week. So join us next week for part 2 of highlights in pro wrestling 1983 on Monty and the Pharaoh Show. They will be hosting us here on YouTube every Sunday night at 7 p.m. So join us back next week for part 2 and every week after. And for my co-host, the Iron Man, Tommy Cairo, and for myself, Angel Amoroso, have a nice night and a nice life.
See ya.
Good night.